Hello, friends, and thank you for joining us today with At Home with APS. I'm Ms. Garcia, this is Ms. Martindale, and we will also be joined by Mr. R. Today we'd like to talk to you about is internet safety. We'd like to teach you some tools about being safe and being smart while online. Ms. Martindale, would you please start us with the essential question?
I would love to, Ms. Garcia. Thank you. So our essential question will be posted throughout the lesson behind me. And our essential question is, how can we be safe and ethical cyber citizens? Later on, Ms. Garcia will go over what the words safe and ethical and cyber mean. So hopefully throughout this lesson, you'll be able to answer our essential question. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, everyone. Ms. Garcia, what are you doing?
I'm so sorry, Ms. Martindale. I found these really cute shoes. All I have to do is meet this person, and we are going to exchange. I give him money. He gives me the shoes.
Ms. Garcia, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up right now. I don't know if that is safe.
Well, why not? I'm an adult, and I know what I'm doing.
I know you're an adult, and I trust your judgment, but I really don't know this person. Do you know this person that you are going to go meet?
I don't know this person. I don't.
Okay. How about we do this, Ms. Garcia? Since you are my very good friend, what if you wait, put the phone down, what if you wait to contact this person until after our lesson? Because I guarantee you're going to learn something from this. Does that sound okay?
I think I can do that. I'm pretty sure I can wait till the lesson's over, and we'll make that decision after.
Okay.
I promise I'll wait.
Okay. Air 5, Ms. Garcia. Boom. All right. So going back to the essential question, listen for it, keep it in your brain, and see if you can answer or come up with some of the answers to this question. Before we go on to our next segment, we are going to need some supplies. And we are going to use a strategy called 2-column notes. And those notes just help us keep all of our information together in one place so that if we need to use them for a different activity, we could just pull them out and they're right there for us to have. And I bet you many of you have already used 2-column notes in your own classrooms. So what you're going to need is just a simple piece of paper like this and a writing utensil. It could be a magic marker or a pencil, whatever you choose. So if you could get those ready during our next segment, that would be awesome. The way to get your 2-column notes ready is on the back of your paper, there's a red margin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my holes are facing my left-hand side, and I'm going to fold my paper so that I can barely see that red margin. So right there I have a little bit of a tab. So then when I open it up, my right-hand side is just a little bit more narrow or my left-hand side is a little bit more narrow than my right-hand side. This way I can put my main ideas on this side and more information on my right-hand side. So let's get our notes ready, our supplies ready as well, and I will turn it back over to Ms. Garcia.
Thank you, Ms. Martindale. Hope you're ready. And now we are going to have a read aloud from Mr. R and Ms. Martindale about one little chick who was not being safe online and came into some trouble while clicking.
Come on up, Mr. R.
Well, hi there, my favorite families. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mr. R, and I'm here to read to you a book called Chicken Clicking. Now, this book is about a little chicken who got into a little bit of trouble clicking things on the internet. Now, before I read this book to you, I'm going to practice reading it with prosody. Prosody is when you read with emotion and inflection so that you can clearly communicate the intent of the book. Now, let's hear about Chicken Clicking. This book is by Jeannie Willis and Tony Ross. Chicken Clicking. Once there was a little chick, chirpy, chirpy, cheep. She hopped into a farmer's house when he was fast asleep. She crept into his old study. She tiptoed past the cat and clicked on his computer with the mouse upon the mat. Cheepy, chirpy, cheepy, click. She had a little browse. She bought a funny teapot. Click. She bought a frilly blouse. Click. She bought a motorbike. Click. A hive of bees. Good heavens, said the farmer. Did I really order these? The second night, the chick came back. Chirpy, chirpy, click. She bought herself a diamond watch. Click, tock, tick. She bought 100 handbags and shoes from every site. That sounds like somebody I know. The farmer blamed his wife, who said the software wasn't right. The third night came, and just the same, the chicken went online. She ordered scooters for the sheep and skates for all the swine. Click, she bought the cows a car. Click, there she went again and booked the bull a holiday away in sunny Spain. Click, whoop, she bought the horse a cart. Click, she bought a boat. The other chickens sailed away, amazed that they could float. Oh, this chick. The little chick was all alone. Cheepy, chirpy, click. I'll find a friend online, she cheeped. That will do the trick. She bought herself a camera. Chirpy, chirpy, click. She preened her tiny feathers, and she posed and took her pic. I wonder what she's doing. She put her photograph online and gave her name and age. Oh, click, another chick appeared upon her friendship page. Click, they started chatting. Chick had found the perfect chum, and off she went to meet her without telling her dad or mom. Oh my gosh. She went into the wily wood and waited by a tree. I found a friend online, she cheeped. The fox said, that was me. Oh my gosh, and that's the end of our story. Wow. And now it's time for a segment called Coffee Talk. And I'd like to invite my friend, Miss Martindale, onto the stage with me so we could have this coffee talk.
Thank you, Mr. R.
Well, hey, Miss Martindale, so good to see you.
Thank you for inviting me for my most favorite thing, coffee.
Right? And wow, did you hear me read that story?
I did, and again, the hair went up on the back of my neck.
It reminded you of somebody, didn't it?
It reminded me of our friend, Miss Garcia. I hope she was really listening.
Oh, man. Well, this is a good time to remind our favorite families at home about our essential question. How can we be safe and ethical cyber citizens? Miss Martindale, now hearing that story, do you feel like anybody in there was or was not being a safe and ethical cyber citizen?
I think there are two characters in this story that were not being safe. One in particular was not being very ethical. Obviously, that chick was not safe.
Oh my gosh, you're telling me when she was posting her age and picture online, That's personal information.
That is, and that's a big no-no. Even I get a little bit scared when I have to enter my information online.
Oh, right. Yeah, you really only should enter that sort of information on websites that are essential and credible.
That's correct, Mr. R. One thing I also noticed that wasn't very ethical on that chick, and I know she was very excited, was purchasing all of those materials and all those cool things using somebody else's credit card.
Oh, man. You know, the impact that that had on the farmer and his wife, gosh, I mean, talk about large and devastating to them financially and to their livelihoods.
I agree, Mr. R. I wish I had a little chick friend who would buy me a car or a vacation to Spain, I believe, is where the bull was spent, but not using that type of technique.
You know, that is certainly unethical. You said there was a second character?
There was a second character that only presented himself at the end, and that was the fox.
Wow. Now, can I probe just a little bit?
Of course, Mr. R.
Why do you say he was unethical? It looked like he was there to have a picnic.
He did, but luckily Mr. R and I read this book a couple of times before we presented it to our friends out there. And on the second time, I noticed that when the chick found her friend online, that fox presented himself as a female chick, wanting to meet up and just have fun, go play. And then in the end, Mr. R, what happened?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even catch that. He lied.
He lied, Mr. R.
You don't think he was going to eat the chick, do you?
I think he was going to have some sort of fried chicken wings for dinner that night.
Oh my gosh. My whole world is rocked.
And it's scary. It's scary, Mr. R, that especially in this time that we are in now with what's called remote learning or distance learning, which we are all having to get used to, we are going to be on the internet a lot. And there are a lot of foxes out there, Mr. R, that we need to make sure we are aware of.
And you know, Miss Martindale, now that I think about it, that chick thought she was doing something that was safe.
That's right.
And clearly she wasn't. And she crossed a lot of lines. And part of me feels like she didn't even know she was crossing them. So I think it's really important for our favorite families out there and even our friend Miss Garcia to really pay attention when we're online, because we definitely want to practice safety in our cyber world.
I totally agree, Mr. R. You did a great job reading that book. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh, thank you. And I was happy to practice reading it with prosody. I hope it got the message across.
I think it did.
Great. Well, thank you for having coffee with me, Miss Martindale. And now, let's hear some of these vocabulary words with our favorite teacher, Miss Garcia.
Hello, friends. Thanks for having me back. Oh my goodness, Mr. R. That story that you and Miss Martindale read really has me thinking.
Really, Miss Garcia?
It does. It does. I'm thinking about what I was doing. Was I being safe? You know, I was online and I was purchasing things and planning to meet someone. And your story kind of said something about that.
Wow. Well, Miss Garcia, you know, a lot of things came out in that story. And I think one important aspect of it is having the right words to navigate in this cyber world. And I'm really happy and excited to hear what words you have for us today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we're going to jump into vocabulary. We're going to learn some new words, and we're going to use a tool so that we can organize all our new words and use those for a project that we're going to have later. Now, do we remember when Miss Martindale was showing us how to make a 2-column note resource tool? She had her piece of paper, She folded it in half, and then we opened it back up and we saved it for now. Okay, please take out that piece of paper and let's get started on some notes, and I will help you with your labeling, and then we will jump in to our vocabulary. If you have your paper, let's make sure that we put a title. Our title is going to be Internet Safety. Read it with me, please. Internet Safety. We are also going to title our two columns. One side is going to say vocabulary. The other side is for our meaning. Our meaning. I'd like to dive deeper into that. When you are taking notes and when you are copying suggestions that I give for a meaning, you want to think about what it means to you. When your notes are meaningful to you and when they make sense to you, you are more likely to remember them for later, especially when we're doing projects or when you're having a discussion with someone, or when you're trying, maybe when you're in a situation and you have to remember what something means or a lesson you learned, you want to remember what it was. So if your notes are meaningful to you, it'll be more powerful.
So what I hear you saying, Ms. Garcia, is that when we use that right side column, we should really try and connect those words to things we know so that we understand them better?
Exactly.
That's a great idea.
Good job, Mr. R. Exactly. I will be putting a vocabulary word and the meaning, and you may copy them down as you wish, but you can also put them into your own words so that they make sense to you. Okay, are we ready? We good? Our first word is cyber.
Ooh, I wonder what that means.
Think about what cyber might mean. What do you think cyber might mean?
I've heard that word before, Ms. Garcia. I know it has something to do with the internet.
Would you like some help?
Yes, please.
Here's the meaning for cyber. Cyber relates to computers or computer networks. So when we're thinking about the internet, our computers, and the networks that they're on, it is cyber.
Wow, so it's like an online connection between computers and devices on that network. Wow.
Exactly. Here is a big word. This word is something that we talked about a little bit, actually a lot today so far. This word is online and internet safety. Online and internet safety. Well, the definition is a long one, so I'm going to read this one to you. Online and internet safety. It's important to practice using precautions, observe, and to act safely when using the internet. So when we think about online and internet safety, we should be cautious about who we're talking to, cautious about what we're looking at. We need to be safe about what information that we give out, and we need to make sure that we are observant and we observe the tools that we're going to learn to figure out if it's a credible site.
Wow, Miss Garcia, thinking back to that book we just read, if that chick would have been more observant and cautious, she could have taken extra steps to keep herself safe in the end of the book instead of how it actually ended.
You're right, Mr. R. Isn't he right? Our next word is credible source. This is a good one because when we're online, we want to make sure what we're looking at and what we're reading is a credible source. Credible source. What do we think credible source is?
Well, I know the word incredible, so I'm thinking it's some sort of superhero source.
Yeah.
Is that
the Incredible Hulk.
Is that what it is, Miss Garcia? Thinking really hard here.
I really like your thinking. I really like your thinking, and there are no wrong answers, especially when we are thinking and learning together. So what a credible source is, using some of what Mr. R said, a credible source is when the author, someone who produces something online or when you find something online, It's when the author cites their sources, meaning that we know where they got their information from, and we find sites that are .org, .gov, and .edu. You know, friends and Mr. R, I'd really like to take this time to talk about a student who messaged in, and this student is just like you guys. Can I explain what this student messaged in? This student taught me something.
Please do, Ms. Garcia.
So this student messaged in and said, Miss Garcia, I know a way that you can tell that a source is credible or not. And I said, okay, explain to me your thinking. This student told me, Ms. Garcia, if you are looking at the address bar on your computer screen, and if there is a lock on the upper left-hand side and it is locked, then that site is a credible site to use. You are okay to use that site because it is locked. It has been looked through, so it is okay.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I would like to say thank you to Richie Z for teaching me this amazing tip. Thank you so much.
Richie, thanks for teaching all of us.
Our next vocabulary word is cyberbully.
Whoa.
This is a big one, boys and girls. Cyberbully.
That one's got me nervous, Miss Garcia.
Yeah.
I know what a bully is. And because I know what cyber is, I'm guessing that this bully is somebody who's using their computer online to connect to other people on the network and maybe do some not nice things.
Mr. R, I love your thinking. You are giving me ideas on how to write a meaning that makes sense to me. His ideas are helping me understand more clearly what a cyberbully is. The definition that I wrote down for a cyberbully is someone, through the use of technology, is bullied. So someone is bullied or someone is the bully using technology.
Wow.
What does that remind you of?
You know, thinking back to that story, there was that cyber bully fox at the end of the book.
Why would you say he was a bully?
Well, might have been a predator. He tricked the chick into going to meet him, and he lied to her by changing his profile pic from a fox to a chick. And who knows what happened after that.
The fox was lying. Is that cyberbullying? I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what's going to happen to that chick. I like chicken wings, but not at the expense of that little chick.
Well, and it just goes to show how important it is that we practice safety, especially with these cyberbullies online.
Mm-hmm. Poor thing. Okay, our next word is app. Do you know what an app is? Do you know what an app is?
Yeah, I order them at the restaurant right before dinner. Usually chips and queso. Sometimes we do the spinach stuff. Is that what you mean, Miss Garcia?
Mr. R, you're so silly. An appetizer is something that you order when you're at a restaurant because they are yummy.
Yeah.
But in this case, we are talking about apps on our computer or our phones or our tablets, all on our resources that we're using with cyber technology.
So like digital Doritos?
No, not digital Doritos, but if someone would like to deliver me some Doritos, I'd be very, very excited. So an app, Mr. R, is a program on your computer or your device. So when you're learning at home and you're clicking the different apps that your teacher might be talking to you about, or your families, you are clicking on an app.
Oh, like that app we used to read the book.
Yes.
Oh, I think I knew that.
No. But is it okay that we learn something new?
Absolutely.
Yes. And are there wrong answers?
No.
No. We always get to talk through our thinking, right, boys and girls?
Yeah, and it helps us, when we make mistakes like that, grow from our mistakes.
Yes. Our last vocabulary word with me is going to be online ethics. But what I would like for you to do first at home, I want you to turn and talk to someone who might be sitting at home with you about what you think online ethics might mean. But if you are there learning on your own, make sure you write down what you think online ethics is in your notes. Online ethics.
Miss Garcia, I think it has something to do with cyber and ethics. I'm going to need your help here.
Yeah. Well, do we know what, you said cyber. Do we know what cyber is?
Well, maybe it's using the internet.
Okay.
And ethics is in a right or wrong way?
I like your thinking. What do you
Okay.
mean by right or wrong?
Well, doing good things on the internet instead of posing to be a little chicken so that I can eat lunch?
I like his thinking. Let's work through your thinking and let me read what the meaning is, and then we can continue our turn and talk. So, online ethics is when choosing to work and communicate in a positive manner with others online, using the internet, which is your tool, for good.
Wow. I think I was pretty close.
You were very close. So proud of you.
Hey, 6 foot away, air 5, crack.
Super proud of you, Mr. R. Yes. Online ethics is when you are being positive and you're using this tool that can give you so much in a good way.
Wow.
Yeah. Good job. So what I'd like to do is let's ask this question to ourselves. How do our vocabulary words connect to our essential question? And our essential question, Mr. R, would you read it for me?
Sure. How can we be safe and ethical cyber citizens?
Let's think about that one. This is what I wrote, and I would like to share it with you. I wrote, using what we learned, we now know that it is important to be positive citizens and always practice safety.
Wow.
What do you think?
I agree with you, Miss Garcia. And I hope you're rethinking that online shoe purchase.
I really want those shoes. But yes, I am thinking about safety and about, cyber bullies and the unknown. I don't know if I'm meeting who has these shoes or not. So that's something for me to think about, and I'm going to step aside and think about that. So, and now I would love to invite Miss Martindale back up to come sit with Mr. R. They are going to read a wonderful article that they found online, and boys and girls and Mr. R, it is a credible source.
Hello again, everybody. This is Miss Martindale with our dear friend, Mr. Ramirez. Thank you, Miss Garcia, for that wonderful vocabulary lesson. It definitely taught me more about our essential question, how can we be safe and ethical cyber citizens? Sometimes our essential questions seem so easy and we take it for granted, but when we get caught up in the moment like Miss Garcia did with those fantastic shoes, sometimes we don't think. We have our blinders on and all we want are those shoes and to meet that person and get those shoes on our feet. So I have a feeling Miss Garcia is going to make the right choice and be a safe cyber citizen. So as Ms. Garcia said, I'm going to read an article that I found online through WebMD, and I'm sure a lot of your parents have visited that site. I made sure to click on that site and look up the accreditation, and by golly, I found it. And I found that WebMD also won many awards. So I went ahead and clicked on it, and I still was a little wary, and I read through it real quick. And sure enough, it fit right into this essential question, and I shared it with Mr. R and Miss Garcia, and we thought it was perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this article, and I love working with my friends and my teammate that is 6 feet away from me so that we can work together because he may have some ideas that I might not think about. That's what I noticed what was happening with Miss Garcia and you when you guys were going over the internet safety.
And Miss Martindale, if it's okay, I'd really like to record some of these ideas in the same 2-column notes that our favorite families at home are using.
Right, that's a great idea. And what I would do is I would just use the same 2-column notes that Ms. Garcia and you worked on for your vocabulary, and I might just flip it over and continue my notes so that they are all in one place for our activity that we are going to do a little bit later. So Mr. R, I see that you labeled one side main idea and the other side key details. That gives me a great hint on what I need to be focusing on when I'm reading this article. Are you ready, Mr. R?
I am, Miss Martindale.
Okay, so the article is called Internet Safety, and like I said, it is from a source called WebMD, and it begins like this. The internet has opened a whole new world for people of all ages. You can shop, plan a vacation, send a picture to a relative, talk with friends, and even do research at school or at home. This new way of finding information and communicating does come with risks. The first question is, can I trust everything that I read on the internet? What do you think, Mr. R?
Wow, Miss Martindale. You know, after all we've been through today, that sounds like I think I know the answer to this question.
The answer is no. We should know that. Being able to tell if someone on the internet is reliable, accurate, true, or real is tough for adults, and even young people. Some of what's out there is good information, but some of it is just plain wrong. Everyone must first question the source. So how can you tell what information is okay and what isn't? This article gives me some good hints. First, websites that end with .gov are generally reliable. And I know Ms. Garcia even put in our credible source .edu and .org. So another clue is to look for the name of the organization, the author of the website, and see if the information has been updated. Ask your teachers about reliable websites, and if it's awesome, you can bookmark it to visit later. Reliable websites usually have reliable links. So when you get lucky, again, bookmark it.
You know, Miss Martindale, I want to interrupt you real quick. I think now's a great time to add to our 2-column notes.
I think that's brilliant.
So I'm going to start with the main idea. It kind of sounded like there was this big idea around trust. And, you know, what do we need to look for in a website to be able to trust it? And so the first thing I heard you say was to look for reliable sources, like when the website ends with .gov. That, to me, sounds like it's an important detail that would help me practice being a safe citizen on the internet. The second detail I heard was when you're looking for a credible source, you want to look for the name of the organization, a possible date on the website, and if it's been recently updated. That tells me that there's somebody probably actively working to make sure that the information on their website is accurate and up to date. Finally, the third thing I heard is you only want to look for reliable links on that website. And I assume that's because if the website has links that don't work, that means they're unreliable and somebody is running a fraudulent website and not a credible one.
That's correct. Good job, Mr. R. I can really tell you were paying attention to my reading. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to move these up so we have more room for other ideas.
Right. So I wonder what would happen if I ran out of room on this piece of paper. What could you do? I know we know the answer because we have paper right in front of us. So we, on stage, could actually flip the paper over, or you at home could grab another piece of paper. So my next section is, what do I do if I accidentally get to a website I shouldn't see? I have done that a lot. And I've done that a lot too when I'm teaching. So I have been working really hard on making sure I run through things before I present them to my students. But if you end up at a site that you know is not for you, click the back button on the top of the screen fast. That will bring you back to the original web page. And then if you get up those annoying pop-up windows, which are usually those small windows with unwanted ads, just keep closing those windows. Then you might want to tell your adult or guardian about that website, because many web browsers track web activity to make your internet history. And your parents and guardians may be able to check what websites you have looked at and remind you not to go to any of those sites that are not appropriate for you. Mr. R, did you get any information or main idea or key details from this section?
I heard a huge main idea in that section, and it sounded like it was, accidental websites. And accidentally going to websites. Well,
right, so accidental websites, this goes back to being a credible source. Did I just click on any link that came up, or am I taking my time and reading the brief history of what it might have?
And I heard that when you accidentally go to a website that you didn't mean to, the first thing you should do is definitely click back as quick as possible. And sometimes when you do that, those annoying pop-ups start coming up and prevent you from clicking back. So if needed, I heard you say that we need to click the close button on those as quickly as possible. I'm just going to tape this up there like that. And finally, I heard you say it was really important that if you go somewhere that makes you feel uncomfortable, you should definitely seek help from an adult.
Correct. Good job. What I do like about this article is that it has great text features which help me identify the main idea. And what it does is it bolds a title. And so now I'm seeing a rhythm or a pattern that whatever is bolded, what is a profile, is my next section. I bet you that's going to be my main idea. So now I'm getting really good at figuring out what the main idea is and what my key details are. So like I said, what is a profile? When you create an online name or email account, you may need to set up a profile to identify yourself. But talk to your parents first about whether or not you should fill out this information. A profile will ask for your personal information like your name, address, and hobbies. But remember that a profile is the fastest way for anyone to find out about you. It is never good to give your last name and never a good idea to give your address. So like I said, Mr. R, I can tell right away what the main idea is. Can you?
I think I heard you say, or not heard you say, I really listened to you, and I think the main idea was about profiles.
Perfect.
Yeah, and actually, you know, Miss Martindale, I'm going to go ahead and flip our paper around now.
Okay.
So that we have those 2 column notes ready. I'm just going to draw our little line here. So the main idea, again, Miss Martindale, was what is an online profile? And one of the first details I heard you say was that an online profile identifies us on the internet. And that's when we're typing in our name, our birth date, or whatever we need to set up accounts on certain platforms. The second detail I heard you say, Miss Martindale, was that you don't want to give out that personal info unless it is on a credible source. And more importantly, before you do that, you want to ask an adult before you start setting it up. Now, did I capture the main idea and the details accurate, Ms. Martindale?
You did. And I hope that my friends at home, if you have any other ideas that you want to put in your notes, that you are doing so. Just like Ms. Garcia said, these are your notes to make your own. I can also think about some things that I would want to put up there, like people everywhere could have access to my profile. So like Mr. R said, I need to make sure that it is a credible source, that I have asked an adult or a guardian.
And you know, Ms. Martindale, the more I think about it, you want to practice that safety online and really look for signs of credibility, because that fox created a fake profile.
He did.
With the chick. So you should really, really, really look for as much credible evidence that that profile is accurate.
That's a great idea. So my next section is, what are proper internet manners? And I learned a new word by reading this section. It's called netiquette, and it is the word used to describe internet etiquette or manners, or the way you should really behave online. It is important to always be considerate of others and never use bad language. Only say the things online that you would say face-to-face to a person. Some internet providers, the internet that is running your email, can monitor your activity and see what you are actually saying to other people. So they could make your parents aware of what is actually being said, and you could have your internet stopped by your internet provider. So right there, I'm going to take a guess by looking at my text features that are in bold, that we're going to be talking about internet manners as our main idea.
And I heard you call it this really neat word, Miss Martindale. Netiquette. I have never heard that word before, but it sounds awesome. And I think I'd rather use netiquette instead of manners. So I'm going to put that as our main idea, because the whole idea and the details that you shared with us explained the netiquette. And one of those details was that you only want to say online what you would say in person. So I know if that fox in that story would have said that he was a fox, that chick would have been a lot more cautious. That fox wasn't practicing netiquette, was he?
That is correct.
The second thing you want to post or think about is you always want to think about others. That chick in the story certainly wasn't thinking about the farmer and his wife and their financial situation when she was ordering all that stuff.
That's correct, too.
And I didn't know this, and I'm glad to hear it, but it sounds like your internet service provider is monitoring you on the internet. And if you're doing something inappropriate and not having netiquette, it sounds like they're going to let you and your parents know.
And that's a good point, because I know throughout our school systems, teachers and students are also being monitored, because I know I cannot get on my Facebook account at school, which is probably a good thing. My next section that I'm going to read is it okay to share my password with my best friend? Of course it is not okay. We know that it's not okay. You should never share your password with your best friend or anybody, except maybe your adult or your guardian. Because if that password gets out, then someone else knows it. They could pass it along, and they can read anything that you may want to keep private. Another person could use bad language or go to sites that you shouldn't be going to, or your name should not be associated with.
You know, Miss Martindale, that reminds me, just a few years ago, I had a student who shared his password with all of his friends. And you know what they did? They messed up his gaming account. They changed his profile, and made it say some pretty awful things. They were being cyber bullies.
Oh, that's not good.
And it could be just their fault, and it could be just his fault. But in reality, had he practiced internet safety with his passwords, I think he would have avoided all that. And actually, I think that's the main idea of the second of what you were just reading.
While you get that ready, I can relate to sharing passwords as well, because I know I have fallen victim to this as well, because I've shared my Netflix password with somebody.
Oh my gosh.
I know, which I regret now, because that password got out where other people were able to use that account. Then I had to go back and change it.
Well, and see, that was one of the details in that article, Miss Martindale. Never share your password. And if you do, it's only with a guardian.
Okay, my next section, what do I do if someone I talk to on the internet wants to meet in person? Oh, Miss Garcia, I hope you are listening out there. Even though you may feel like you know someone you met online really well, because maybe you've been chatting with them for a while, this person is still a stranger. It's best never to meet someone that you met online. If someone that you meet online wants to meet you in person, you should tell your parents or a trusted adult immediately.
You know, Miss Martindale, that reminds me of the story we just read.
I loved that story.
Yeah, because that chick set up a profile and met up with what she thought was another chick, but it turns out it was some sort of cyber bully or predator. And that ended up getting her in some pretty hot water. So it sounds like the main idea of that section of the reading was meeting up. And one of the details was if somebody asks you to meet up, you tell somebody. You tell a guardian ASAP. And I remember in that story, she didn't tell her mom or her dad. How dangerous. And she was going to go meet a stranger. And the fact is, when somebody is online, regardless of what their profile is, they're still a stranger.
Always. Always.
Golly. I really wish this chick would have watched our lesson before she purchased all those things and met up with that fox.
I agree with you, Mr. R. My last section, my friends, is what do I do if someone on the internet is harassing me? And I know 4th and 5th graders out there, we deal with this a lot. So if someone on the internet sends you lots of emails or text messages, follows you onto chat rooms, even after you have stopped responding, then this person may be harassing you. First, tell your parents right away about that person. The next step is to really just try and ignore them while you're on the internet and see if they will leave you alone. If they continue to bother you, even after you have stopped responding, then you and your parents can call the internet service provider and complain about the other person. You and your parents can also talk to the police. It is not your fault if someone starts bothering you. That is really important. You and your parents can stop them from harassing you and someone else.
Wow, Miss Martindale. Sounds like that's a form of cyberbullying.
I agree, Mr. R.
Gosh, and the main idea there is that harassment. And that's big.
That is really big, Mr. R.
And I like that one of the details it talks about was telling your guardian so that they can intervene. And one of the other details, to ignore them sometimes can work, but if it doesn't, it's definitely important to contact the internet provider or the police. Gosh, those are 3 very important details that really help me understand that.
Good. Thank you for your help, Mr. R. I love working as a team. You brought insights to things that I may not have noticed in the article, and I hope I was helpful with you as well.
Whoa, Miss Martindale, you read so beautifully, and the way you read helped me understand that I can organize these notes with the main idea on one side and the key details on the other. This along with your reading, really made me feel confident in our essential question about being safe and ethical cyber citizens.
Perfect. I'm so glad to hear that. So now we're going to combine these two-column notes, and we are going to let Ms. Garcia come up and do another activity with us. And I hope she's learned a little bit about being ethical and being safe.
Me too.
Hello, friends, and thank you for coming back with me. I'd like to say thank you to Miss Martindale and Mr. R. I know after hearing that article, the story, and going over all of the vocabulary, I was not being a safe citizen. I was online doing something I shouldn't be doing by purchasing shoes from someone that I didn't know, and that was not safe. Miss Martindale, Mr. R, if you can hear me, I will not be meeting this person to get those shoes. And I am worried about the chick. I don't know what happened. What do you think? And it makes me sad. So what I'd like to do now is introduce something that we like to use with our students. We like to take all the information that our students put down in their tools, in their resource tools, and in their notes, and any information that they've gathered together and put it all in one place. What you will need is one sheet of paper. On that one sheet of paper, we are going to put all of our ideas. And we call this a one-pager. This is our resource. This is our organizational tool to show what we've been thinking, to show what we've learned. After you do your one-pager, you can share this with a teacher, your friends. You can also take a picture of it and send it online to your teacher as well. On this one-pager, there are a few things that we would like to see. We would like to make sure that you have your name, because that's always important, is to have your name. Make sure you have a title so that we know what the topic is or what you're going to talk about. One thing that we really, really like to see is to have a border around your one-pager. When you have a border around your one-pager, it makes it look creative, and you're also putting in your own visuals and your own ideas down to make it look as creative as possible. Another thing you need to make sure that you put on your one-pager is we would like for you to put a poem. You can use a poem to put your ideas down. You could put your vocabulary words. You could also put the definitions from the vocabulary words that we learned. You could use pictures to show your thinking. Here I put the title of our book. I put Chicken Clicking, and I have a picture of the chicken and some of the things that the chick purchased. I also have some words that we learned today from our vocabulary and our definitions. I have BBS here, and then I have At Home with APS. One thing that you could put in your one-pager is a personal thought or a personal meaning. So what I decided to do is I decided to pledge to Miss Martindale and Mr. R and tell them I pledge to be safe, smart, and positive while using cyber. Remember that from our vocabulary words? Cyber. You can make it as colorful as possible. You could put any other ideas that would reflect what you learned. And remember, this one-pager is all of your ideas, all of the things that you want to show that you learned, and to make sure you make it meaningful to you. When you are done, like I said, don't forget to share them. Share them out to a teacher, a friend, anyone at home, and have fun with it. This is yours. This is your creativity shining through. Okay, friends? So I would like to say thank you to all our friends joining us today. I would love to say thank you to Mr. R and Miss Martindale for teaching me, for being kind, giving me some lessons. And I would also like to say thank you to you, and thank you for joining us today for At Home at APS.